So we're going, so chapter number 45. And it is ayah number 24. طيب. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the ayah before it, have you seen him who takes his own lust, in parentheses, vain desires, as his ilah, God in parentheses, Shaykh Taqiyuddin Hilali, meaning deity. And Allah, knowing, left him astray and sealed his heart, sealed his hearing and his heart, and put a cover on his sight. Who then will guide him after Allah? Will you not then remember? And they say, there's nothing but our life of this world. We die and we live, and nothing destroys us except ad-dahr, the time. And they have no knowledge of it. They only conjecture. And they only use conjecture, guessing, guesswork. This is only guesswork. And when our clear ayat, the Shaykh said verses, we say ayat, are recited to them, their argument is no other than that. They say, bring back our dead fathers if you are truthful. Say, Allah gives you life, then causes you to die, then he will assemble you on the day of resurrection, until the end of the ayat. Allahu Akbar. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us they only have guesses, they only have guesswork. Isn't what this is, ya ikhwa? Wallahi, this is what it is. Look at the atheists. We're talking about atheists. Look at atheists. Or the ones they call themselves agnostics. You say, who created? They say there is a creator. You say, who? They say, we do not know. You tell the others, they say, no, there is no creator. There's no creator. So, how did life come on earth, and how did earth come? And how? They start guessing. Yalla. They say there are so many verses. They call it the M theory, the multiverse. They say there are so many universes in the world. There's an infinite number of universes in the world. Therefore, because there are so many universes in the world, one of these universes had to have one planet where there was life. Look how logical this is, they say. It had to have the right conditions for life to take place. So where did you get universes from? Did you see a second universe? No, they didn't. Do you have evidence for it? No, they don't. They actually, I'm talking scientifically, the scientists actually say they have found out that space in itself is expanding. Space is expanding. Therefore, if the universe is expanding, I've read this in books, scientific books. If the universe is expanding, it is inevitable that they entered into one another. But they didn't. And we see no evidence for this. Thus, it means that there is space between this universe and that universe. And since the universe is expanding, the space is also expanding. Meaning, there is no means. This is what they concluded in the end. They said, therefore, there are no means even to say in the first place that there is a second universe. We only have one universe. This is the only one that we have any proof or evidence from. But where did you get that? Not there is a second universe, or not a third or fourth, or not even a trillion, huh? Not even a billion or a trillion. A number that we cannot even imagine, a trillion. No, infinite. Infinite. The multiverse theory. Where did you get this from? Wallahi, if you told me this is cartoons, it would have been ridiculous. Where did you get this from? Nonsense. Nonsense. Another person said, it is from the rules. He said the rules. You have gravity. You have the cosmological constant. You have the this. You have the that. You have that. All of these rules that govern the universe. Thus, because of these rules, the universe came into being, came into existence. You have this and that, and the speed of this and that. You know what? A mathematician replied to them, and he has authored more than 100 books, and he's one of the biggest scientists. His name is John Lennox. He's a professor. What did he say? He said, nonsense remains nonsense, even if spoken by worldwide scientists. And he tackled this issue as well. And he started talking about the laws of arithmetics and so on. And he said, let's take one of the laws. 1,000 plus 1,000 equals 2,000. So if I said $1,000 plus $1,000 equals $2,000. If I don't go to the bank and I put 1,000 and then add another 1,000 to it, it will never produce this money. Therefore, the laws of the universe, if there isn't a universe, an earth and the sun and the moon, in the first place, the laws themselves give us nothing. You can say 1,000 plus 1,000 as much as you want, but you will be totally bankrupt. Some of them said it came by chance. So a professor called Doug Axe and another professor called Stephen C. Myers, they went through, Stephen C. Myers is the one who is saying that this is a colleague of his, and he's a professor, and you can, by the way, you can watch their lectures. Take each and every name. Look, I used to, before I became a student of knowledge more than 10 years ago, I used to like these things. I used to watch these things. But once I got into and read these things, by the way, I have books in my library and so on. But once I became a student of knowledge and I started teaching, that's it. I stuck to this, and I stopped reading about this. But anyway, just to give you, since we are on the topic, let's talk about this. Since we are on the topic, so Doug Axe, he started studying how does how does proteins come into existence. They are made of amino acids, right? And amino acids, there's the 4 types, and they have to have a peptide bond, a bond from the right side, if I remember correctly, in order to make up, in order to make up a protein. He went through the process and how it can come by chance. The number that he went with was huge. It was enormous. It was something that we cannot even describe as enormous. The only word that I can think about is astronomical numbers. This is an astronomical number, as if you are saying infinity. It was 1, 2, and then he put 1 and more than 100 zeros. It's like a trillion. This is how it is. If I wanted to write it down, I'll bring you a huge piece of paper and you'll see 1 and so many dots. There's no chance. There's no chance that this is how one protein came into existence. And then you have to repeat this how many a time to make just a very simple living organism 200 or 300 times. This has to happen. It's nonsense. Allah said guesswork. It's guesswork. It's nonsense. And then somebody else came and said what? No, yes, Google. Yeah. And then somebody else come and said what? And said it happened by chance. They also replied to him. So not the protein. And they replied to him with an argument called the fine-tuning of the world. And they also gave a precision when it came to it, precision in the creation of the world, the whole universe, that it is so finely tuned that if you change not one number, but if you change 0.0000000 to the 23rd digit, and then you change 1, the whole universe would have ceased to exist. What does this mean? If I said 0.000000000000000000000000000000001 changed from the universe, the whole universe would have ceased to exist. You tell me there's no creator. This is science. This is what science is saying. How? They came and said evolution. Look how it's whims and desires. They're guessing. It's this, no, it's that, no, it's this, no, it's that. They came and said evolution. They said we evolved from a creature from the sea and so on. That came from the sea, and it was they call it a single cell or something like that. Anyway, I need to brush up and refresh my mind. And that life started getting more complicated and more complicated because in millions of years, and small changes happened because of the environment, and those that did not make these small changes did not survive, and so on. All of this nonsense and all of this talk that is not even a joke, cannot even be as good as a joke. They replied to them, they said, okay, and where did the sea come from? It evolved. Where did the planet come from? It evolved. Where did the universe come from? The sun and the moon? It evolved. They said the Big Bang Theory. Like, where did there was primordial mass? Like, where did it come from? It doesn't answer anything. They said the multiverse. Again, there's an infinite number of universes. La. All of these are guesses, theories. By the end of the day, what created all of these things? Even if you say there's an infinite number of universes, who created them? They never answered anything. They never answered anything. Fine, who created the multiverses? How did they come in the first place? They never answered anything, ya ikhwa. That's why I always tell you, atheism is the weakest out of the lot. You as an atheist, you come and talk to me, you have nothing. What do you have? Only guesses and some theories, and by the end of the day, you don't know anything. You say, I do not know. It's maybe it's this, maybe it's that, maybe by chance, maybe multiverse, maybe evolution, maybe. La, come on, maybe. And you're gonna doom your whole hereafter because of maybe. They said we evolved. And then the scholars and the archaeologists, and they came to them and they said, come, no, we did not evolve. We actually found the oldest of organisms. They already were complicated. It wasn't like what you told us, one cell and kept on changing and it became more complicated and more complicated. No, we found them instantly. Trilobites and whatnot. This is called the Cambrian explosion. Go read up upon it. The Cambrian explosion. There were even fully developed creatures. They even had spines. They had spines. Yani the oldest creatures that we have recorded, they had spines. They didn't evolve. And you have Michael Behe talking about the bacteria flagellum, and you have so many people, Darwin's black box, and you have so many books that have been authored, to the point that after studying the DNA and the RNA, there's one of the most leading atheists in the world called Anthony Flew. He said he rewrote another book, and he had the articles or so on, and he wrote a book, I believe. He said there is a God for the world. After he saw the RNA, it's inevitable. He cannot escape it. One of the most prominent atheists. Aywa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala summarized all of this in one word. They only follow what? Conjecture. Guesswork. Guessing. This is the only thing they are following. They are following guessing. Yes, they are. Theorizing and hypothesizing and making theories and making a simple one ayah in the Quran. Anthony Flew, there is a God now. One ayah. They're only following what? Dhann. They're only following conjecture, guesswork. All they have is guesses, and they have nothing other than that. And they will never have. Yes, they can deceive you. Because they came before and they said what? They said the sun does not move. So the Quran is wrong. And then 80 years later, they said, la, the sun moves. We found out that the sun moves. Yes, we know. And the Quran is not wrong. I will never be wrong. You are the ones that will always be wrong. They came and they said, we found the Neanderthal man and I don't know what. And they put what? They put fossils for them and teeth and jaws and whatnot. And after 100 years or 80 years, they took them out of the museum saying what? This is a fabrication. Fabrication, yeah. Somebody fabricated them and put them in the museum. Why? In order to make people atheists. Because atheism sells. Atheism sells. And because atheism corrupts people. And they are more prone into being controlled when they are corrupt. How? Bring me someone that has no morals. I tell him, do this, do that. Increase this and transgress against this person, take the right of this person and that person, and he will do all of that. And if a problem happens, he's the one to blame, right? They bring someone who has a moral compass. Do this, he says, this is haram. To transgress against somebody, he says, la. You tell him, say so and so. He says, this is shahadat zur. I will not bear witness on something that is forbidden. You say, I will fire you. He says, I fear Allah, fire me. I don't care. What do they do with these people? They cannot manipulate them. They will not gain money in haram ways. La, let's corrupt them. But when they are not corrupted, when they are easily corrupted, Yeah, khalas. It's easy now. We can control the masses and control, and the shaitan wants to control. He said it in the Quran. He wants to control the masses, control everything. You have the luxuries of life and blinding people with these things. طيب, you bring a Muslim who fears Allah Azza wa Jal. Wallahi, he's like the Sadd of Ya'juj and Ma'juj. He's like the Sadd, a huge wall in front of those that want to show corruption. And not just that, he sees corruption, he goes and says they are doing. He goes, for example, to the supervisor, or goes to the one who's in authority. He says these people are stealing. These people are not saying a truthful word. Even in cases when law and I don't know what and courts and cases that are held, if you bring him, he will only say the truth. You cannot say anything other than the truth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded him. Na'am ya akhu. But they only have guess, and they will continue guessing, and they will continue lying, and they will continue hypothesizing. I don't know how to pronounce it. Hypothesizing, and making theories and theses, and they will keep on making theories, and they will keep on and keep on. Look at us, alhamdulillah. We say Allah created, alhamdulillah. Nothing else. La, evolution. I don't know, not evolution, a Big Bang. Not the Big Bang, we came by chance. There's not the multiverse. I don't know. And type, which one? Which one? Nonsense remains nonsense. Wallahi. Nonsense. They said the laws of the earth made up, it was inevitable. Why? Laws? Look, the scientists themselves, they said, what is this nonsense? Laws can make something? Laws. You cannot even give me a law. How is a law that we have measured, like the law of gravity or the law, will produce earth, will produce things, animate things, and a whole universe? How? Well, if this is the case, then we can make laws of multiplying and adding and whatnot, and we will give me money, produce money from the laws themselves. You will never be able to. It's not me saying, the scientists themselves, they said that. You can watch his lecture. It's I watched the full lecture. It's in a university. He's called John Lennox, and he was replying to Stephen Hawking. And I remember he even said that Stephen Hawking said that philosophy is dead, and he replied to him. He said that in itself is a philosophical statement. Subhanallah, subhanallah, subhanallah. Anyway, going back, they only have guesses. They only have guesses, nothing else. And theories and lies, and they try to manipulate it, and then they blame us. They say, oh, you don't believe science. Yes, because you lied so much and you were wrong so much, and then you agreed with us, and then in the end you agreed with the Quran. In the end you agreed with the Quran. You said the sun moves. Yes, we knew that. You told us the clouds are heavy. We knew that 1,400 years ago. They would have told you the same thing. You said there are roots for the mountains. We know. Allah told us in the Quran. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. In huwa illa wahyun yuha. Allamahu shadidul quwa. It is a wahy, the divine revelation that's being revealed. Allamahu shadidul quwa. The one with Allah, with strength has taught him, meaning Jibreel. Jibreel taught him. Jibreel came with the message from Allah Azza wa Jal. He heard it with the sound and with the huruf, with the letters from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is our aqidah. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah ala ni'mat al-Islam ya akhwan. Na'am. Al-Imam ibn Baz, did you finish? You read the chapter?
نعم.
All of it? No, you didn't. You didn't read the chapter. لا, continue. You just read the ayah. نعم.
No, the one, MashaAllah wa shit, I read the
No, ما سب الدهر.
Masail as well.
نعم. After Surah Al-Jathiyah.
نعم.
نعم.
No.
يعني next
أحسن
time,
الله عليك.
next time you hear about these theories, tell them Allah told us in the Quran. They only follow guesswork, and what you're doing is guesswork, is conjecture, theories, and hypothesizing and whatnot. We know you have theories, and we know Allah told us in the Quran. One ayah, atheism. There you go. In a couple of words, subhanallah. Subhana Rabbi. Wallahi, the more we contemplate in the Quran, the more We are astonished at the meanings in the Quran. The more meanings that come to us and the more that we understand, and we say, subhanallah, I've read so many times. I did not understand it in this way. You never get tired from reading the Quran. You never get tired from contemplating the Quran. Subhanallah. And always new meanings come to you.